Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. And before you cancel me, I promise you I have standing on this one. Obviously, you've seen the thumbnail, so you know I'm going to talk about Puerto Rico. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the long-standing feud between Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. I'm Dominican. Both my parents are Dominican. Both were born in the Dominican Republic. My grandma is also Dominican, born and raised there. I grew up in the culture. I knew Spanish better than I knew English when I entered school. This long-standing feud of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, I know it very well. So my point with telling you that is, I can tell you Dominicans are better than Puerto Ricans. That's just how it's always been. That's how it's always gonna be. I know the Puerto Ricans gonna jump in my comments and my DMs and say all this stuff that's not true. But listen, I'm sorry. We got the better music, we got the better food, most beautiful women. Everyone talks about how beautiful our Dominican women are. I just have to get that out. Now, to the point of this video. Tony Hinchcliffe, Tony Hinchcliffe, Tony whatever the fuck his name is. You know, the comedian that was at the Trump rally. And let's just play the video.
Happening right now the past few years. It's a real thing. And, you know, used to be able to tell people to Google stuff. My mom's a boomer in the state of Ohio. And there's no convincing her of anything. She's eating the cats. She's eating the dogs. They're eating the pets up there. It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup.
So you hear the joke. It obviously didn't hit with the crowd. It probably wasn't the best joke. Maybe not even the joke he should have went to. Now, granted, he did talk a lot of shit about a lot of people. Time and place matters. So, you know, do I like the joke? I don't have a problem with it. He could have had a better punchline. He's also a comedian, and he also did his job, which if you think about it, his job isn't to go in there and be nice or play political games. He's there to make people laugh and make sure that he has the attention of everyone there and everyone who wasn't there. By that metric, he did a great job. The following day, everybody was talking about him. People are still talking about him. I don't want people to think that I agree with the joke or I believe the same thing, because I don't. I know Puerto Rico is a beautiful island. I know they have beautiful people. They do have an amazing island. There's one little caveat. They can't vote in our US elections. I don't know why everybody's up in arms. It's just a fucking joke. That's what he does. And out of all people, Tony is a hitman. That's what he does. He roasts the shit out of people. He's really good at it. If you ever watch any of his other stuff, you'd probably laugh at his jokes. Obviously, like I said previously, you know, this probably wasn't the place to make a joke, but I would also say this probably wasn't the person to invite for a rally, especially a Trump rally. After watching so many people be up in arms and so pissed off, and all the posts that I saw of people saying, oh, Puerto Rico's not garbage, and I decided to do some Googling because I'm curious like that, and it usually pans out. And so as you can imagine, I found some stuff. I first started off with, you know, does Puerto Rico have a trash problem? And pretty much all the articles down to like page 5 were all of what Tony said. So that does no good for either of us. So I kept Googling. Then I came across multiple articles. Now the article is from Global Press Journal. It did come out February 16th of 2021. Corali M. Cruz Medias from Puerto Rico. Oh, excuse me, that's the reporter. Anyways, the picture I'm showing now on screen is of Nalda Delgado. She sits in front of her prescription drugs she takes after 2 bouts with cancer. She suspects the town landfill contributed to the cancer-related deaths of several relatives. After Hurricane Irma, there was an issue with Puerto Rico's landfills, which actually date back to before this, but mainly, or most of the issues started after the hurricane. Parts of the issue they're facing is the fact that they have no fencing around some of these landfills, so anyone can go in and out. The article also talks about how some of these landfills are only 1,300 feet away from houses. And so I'm going to read a part of this article, and it goes as such. Over the years, Benjamin Gonzalez has watched his local landfill grow into a mountain of trash. It has polluted his cities once pristine ravines. It has tainted the limestone aquifer, and it has left dark bubbling puddles that infect the air with an ever-present stench. There are days that you just can't deal with it, says Gonzalez, who has been part of a years-long effort to close the dump. The landfill's trash towers over more than 100 houses in Contoro? I don't know how to say that, but regardless. A neighborhood in Tao Alto, a lush, tranquil city in Puerto Rico's northern coast, once known for its famous writers and poets. Today's residents say it's increasingly known for noxious odors that trap them inside and pollution that they suspect has caused serious illnesses. Their worries reflect a decade-long waste management crisis in Puerto Rico that has only worsened in recent years as recycling rates remain low even as trash piles up. So I went to look for some of these pictures to see if I could find some of these landfills, and the pictures that I came across are pretty astonishing, and not in a good way. I mean, the complete opposite of good. It got so bad that the EPA sued Puerto Rico because of their mismanagement of these landfills and how they were just tossing the piles of trash. It doesn't matter what it was, TVs, electronics, metals, batteries, everything was going together. Many people know in the United States, or if you don't know, I have personal experience going to landfills and seeing how they require you to separate things. I would say they really don't play with those kind of things. I know we've had our own issues with our land dumps, with our landfills here in the United States, but for the most part, that's something that you can pretty much guaranteed is heavily regulated, and they have procedures for how to do things, which clearly in Puerto Rico, they're not following none of those. EPA reaches $11 million settlement with Puerto Rico Industry Development Company. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has reached a settlement with Puerto Rico Industrial Development Company, PRI, Prideco, whatever, for the reimbursement of $11 million in costs EPA incurred in cleaning up contamination at the Maunabo groundwater superfront site in Puerto Rico. I don't know how to say that either. I'm gonna just keep going. We are pleased to have reached a settlement with the Puerto Rico Industrial Development Company that holds it accountable, not the taxpayer, for the cleanup of contamination at its property and protects the Maunabo community, community, said Regional Administrator Lisa F. Garcia. This settlement reimburses EPA for its work in assessing the contamination, designing the remedy, and cleaning up the groundwater contamination. Now the article does keep going, and I'm not going to read any more of it because you kind of get the point. And so ultimately, this video is going to be short, but the point of making the video was the fact that everybody was up in arms in what Tony said, and people were pissed off, and people were immediately so threatened by his words. And I think it's ironic because on one hand, you have a man who's a comedian, a professional comedian at that. This is what he does for a living, or at least maybe did this for a living before this. But hey, I'm neither here nor there on that subject. They take him at face value, and people get so upset that they're literally trying to cancel him. But you have MSNBC talk about this exact rally and compare it to a Hitler rally.
Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden comes days after his own former chief of staff went on record to describe his former boss as a fascist. But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct.
This is a perfect example of why people don't believe media narratives, don't necessarily immediately jump to conclusions unless you don't know any better and unless all you do is consume the media. Now, I don't want any trouble. I love my life. I love the people around me. I'm a faithful Democrat. I love Kamala. Boys can be girls. With that said, I really wanted to point out the fact that without Tony saying this joke, there wouldn't have been so much attention on this topic. I think we have a really big problem in our country, and that is people are looking for something to be upset about, and a lot of times the thing they're looking to be upset about is minuscule compared to the thing they're ignoring that they could really be mad about. Like the trash in Puerto Rico. That could have been a great chance for all these people who talk about climate change, global warming, global cooling, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. This is your chance to jump on the back a situation that you could actually get an outcome for. And instead, most people turn to, this guy's a racist, this guy's horrible. I come from struggle, okay? I grew up poor. My mom did the best she could to raise the bar to a level where I could look at this bar and say, I need to surpass that. With that came the building of calluses. There were things that happened to my mom. There were things that happened to me, that happened to my brother, that my mom used to always say, no matter what, remember two things. Yes, you're black, but two, you can overcome anything you work hard enough to beat. My mom was big on always making sure that we knew that you could overcome anything you set your mind to. As the son of first-generation immigrants, I look back at that time and I think to myself, imagine if my mom just decided to go belly up. Imagine my mom just complained about the situation she currently found herself in versus actually doing something about it. I probably wouldn't be in front of you guys. I probably wouldn't have done some of the things I've done. Same thing with my brother. The world is unfair. Life is unfair. You go out in the wilderness, in the jungle, everything is trying to eat everything else or trying to stifle something else so it can live. That is just the world we live in. Can we make it better? Yes, we can make it better. But to be pissed off about something that's essentially irrelevant and will not be news in about 1.5 news cycle versus having an actual problem that can be fixed, to me, is strange. And it really just seems like people are looking to play the victim. I don't know if that's true. Regardless, you guys tell me what you think. I really want to hear your opinion on this. Puerto Ricans, don't do it. I want to hear it. I already made my statement at the beginning of this. Us Dominicans are better. I'm sorry, man. That's just how it goes, okay? You got to get over that part, all right? I'm just kidding, by the way. Please don't cancel me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But regardless, I want to hear what you guys think. I wanted to share something with you. I've noticed that when making Trump videos or making videos about the election, especially if I'm speaking about Kamala, they're not getting as much traction as some of my other videos. So make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, sharing the videos. It helps out the page. It helps me out, allows me to make better content, and I greatly appreciate it.